Hey guys, I'm gonna apologize in advance for this video. I recorded a bit of it earlier on a new app, a new camera app to see. Um, I was having a problem with the focus going in and out on some of the videos, so I was trying to fix that. But it made it so it's very grainy and it's like blue hue to it, and it's bad. But I said some things on there and that was really genuine, and I don't want to redo it and make it sound like it's rehearsed. So I'm going to go ahead and just use it anyway. So I apologize in advance for the way it looks, and hopefully we'll have that fixed for the rest of these videos. I'm kind of not looking forward to this video, and the reason is because it's going to be a personal one. Some hard things, and I don't like talking about myself and bringing up hard things. Everyone's got hard things that they have to deal with in their life, and have a genetic disease. It's called congenital fiber type disproportion, and basically it's a muscle wasting disease. My pectoral muscles and my back muscles and parts of my leg muscles are starting to eat away at itself. It's kind of hard dealing with this sometimes, and this is the whole reason why we got into starting videos, is to show us every day what we can be grateful for, even though we have some pretty hard difficulties that we have to go through. Since I was in high school, and really started getting active into sports, and your body as a young man begins to fill out and get muscles and stuff, I began to notice that a lot of my friends and fellow athletes and people in school would be able to gain a lot more mass and strength during workouts a lot quicker than I did, even though we would work out the same amount of time. And I attributed that to everyone's different, but it still didn't feel right. And I distinctly remember one day in wrestling when I was in practice and I felt a tear in my left pectoral muscle right by my shoulder, somewhere right there. And went to the doctor, and I had to set out some practices, and it stayed sore for a lot longer than I thought it would. And didn't think anything of it at the time. And then as time went on, went through high school, and never was the biggest or the strongest or anything like that. But I was still very athletic and very active. Rode motorcycles, and a lot of climbing and hiking and camping and fishing and shooting and all that kind of good stuff. Normal teenager boy stuff. So after high school and after my mission, I'd go into the Army. And in the Army, in basic training, very physical, a lot of physical training to get you into good fighting shape. And I had no problem with the running, or my crunches, or sit-ups, anything lower body, even lower core. No problems. I actually did very well in my basic training running. I think I was maybe fifth in my battalion or something like that. So it's not too bad. But I was always struggling with my push-ups and pull-ups, or anything that had to do with my chest and back muscles. Barely passed my physical fitness test at the end of my basic training course, and the only reason I passed is because during basic training I turned from 21 to 22, and with that age became a different requirements for your physical fitness, and I gained a few more push-ups for my minimum requirements. And you have to understand, I was, like I said, 5th in my battalion as far as running. I maxed out my sit-ups almost every time. So it wasn't for lack of trying. I gave it my all, because if you don't do well, you get a lot of attention from the drill sergeants, and I didn't like that. And for my push-ups, I just didn't do well. And so I barely made it. Anyways, I just attributed it to, I just didn't know. I had to do wide arm push-ups. I don't know, any of you familiar with the military, most of them are about shoulder width apart and you get full extension. I had to go extreme far width apart, because the only parts of my pectoral muscles left are my very insides next to my ribs and the very, very tops of my shoulders here. Everything else is gone. It's solid bone. There's nothing there underneath. I don't know if you can hear it. Anyways, so basic training, it was rough, but I made it through, and no big deal. I knew from there I would just be getting older, and so my push-up requirements would get lower. As long as I could maintain that requirement for that year, then it would be progressively easier. As long as I didn't get progressively worse. And at the time, I didn't know. I just thought, man, I really need to work on my chest muscles. I really gotta, put in some time in the gym or something. I didn't know. But anyways, so as I got out of basic training and went into my normal units again, it's, still had problems with my push-ups and things like that. I went to Hurricane Katrina relief, like the day after, or 2 days after Katrina hit. We were there on the ground, and we landed from our C-130 airplane at the airport, and then from the airport we took a Chinook to the Superdome parking lot. From the Superdome parking lot, we basically had to carry our gear from the Superdome to the convention center. And I'm talking your regular rucksack, your Alice sack, and then since I was military police at the time, we had all our riot gear. Not to mention, since we're military police also, we had our weapons and our secondary weapons and all that kind of stuff. So, anyways, needless to say, a lot of gear. Where we camped for the night was at a parking lot for a cruise ship place of port, whatever. So you park your car there, you get on your cruise ship, you go out into the Gulf of Mexico on your cruise, you come back, your car's right there. We were in that parking lot. Anyway, so we hoofed all our gear there. And by the time I got back, I had a screaming pain right between my shoulder blades, in the middle of my back. So if, this is my shoulder blades coming across and this is my spine, right where they cross, screaming pain, big knot there, inflammation and everything. I had to rest it for a while. That was the first time I noticed it. I went to the doctor after that, and they just thought it was, strain, gave me some anti-inflammatories, naproxen, something like that, and sent me on my way. From there, had on and off incidents with feeling pain and weakness from PT test or carrying things or lifting heavy things, and noticed that progressively my chest muscles became smaller and smaller. No matter what I did. And I was in the Army at this time. We did PT every single day. Maybe not every day. We skipped every now and then. But most of the time we were doing PT every morning, which included our chest, because we had to do push-ups for our tests, and it was a big thing to make sure that we were able to do that. I go to Fort Huachuca, Arizona, to do some military intelligence testing. While there, went to the doctor for my back and issues that were going on with it. Again, just some anti-inflammatories, didn't see anything wrong. They sent me to Korea. I go to Korea and I go to the doctor 3 to 4 times in that year for back issues. I had an MRI, I had x-rays, I I had cortisone shots, tramadol, just all sorts of stuff they gave me to try to fix it, but they never found anything, what was going on with it. So I get out of the Army, come home, I get a job at a dairy manufacturing plant, and we had to push these 700-pound barrels of cheese down a track to certain points from where they drop out of a big vat into the barrels. You push the barrels down the track to the wrapping station, and they get them all packaged and stuff like that eventually. But anyways, so there was a good 10 to 15 yards of track that you had to push these 700-pound barrels of cheese down. And even though they're on track, they're very, very heavy, and they dropped in sequence. So I can't remember, it's been such a long time ago, but something like every 60 seconds you were getting 5 barrels. And so every 60 seconds you're running 15 yards, coming back, 15 yards, coming back, pushing these 700 pounds of barrels of cheese. And you had to make sure they didn't go too fast or they would disrupt the rest of them, and they couldn't go too slow or they wouldn't get there. So you're balancing this weight, and so you're constantly having to push and pull. And anyways, I injure my back. Right between my shoulder blades again, I feel similar, but it's a lot worse, and it feels like a ripping instead of a hot knife in there. It feels like something just kind of ripped away. Go to the doctor, get x-rays. They don't really see anything other than inflammation. I get tramadol again. I'm on workman's comp for a little while and can't find anything. So fast forward a couple of years, I'm a safety manager for a dairy company, and I cover 3 different plants, and all day I'm walking all through these plants trying to find safety measures that need to be fixed or congratulated or whatever that needs to be done. And I just noticed that I'm just having such a hard time walking up and down these stairs and through these plants anymore. It's hard carrying my backpack, my laptop anymore. Even my shoes feel heavy. I'm feeling extremely fatigued, like no energy. And so I quit my job because I just couldn't do it anymore. And in the midst of that, at that job, it was during the time that we needed to do health checks for insurance, and if you went and got you got looked at for by your doctor to make sure that you're healthy for your insurance, you got a discount. So I went to the doctor, got my checkup and everything, and looks at my chest, like, hey, how long you had that? It's like, oh, I don't know, since I was a teenager or something like that. I just figured it was a birth defect or something. I don't know. And they started asking me questions about how I feel and fatigue and pain and things like that. And as I'm answering him, he's like, oh, you need to go see a neurologist. I'm going to give you a referral, which is really crazy. He wasn't even my normal doctor. He was just someone I went to go do this checkup with. So anyway, so I go see the neurologist, and he thinks I have, after a few tests and some things, he definitely says there's an issue, and he thinks I have muscular dystrophy. So we do some more tests and come to find out I have, we did a muscle biopsy. Oh, was that side? Was this side? I can't lift it up high enough. Anyways, I did a muscle biopsy, and come to find out I have all the genetic markers for congenital fiber type disproportion. What that basically means is my smooth muscle, my pectoral muscles, my back muscles, and my esophagus, stomach, those kind of muscles are smooth muscle fibers. Those muscle fibers are disproportioned, which means they're not holding their cohesion. They're breaking down and they're being absorbed back into my body. So that portion of it isn't that painful because it's such a slow process. But if you can imagine having a rope that is intertwined and holding everything together, holding your skeleton together, and slowly you just take a strand of that rope away at a time. Eventually, you're going to get to a point where the strands that are left are strained so tight and stretched so tight that they're under threat of being shredded and ripped and losing all use. And that's kind of where I'm at in portions of my body. My neck and head have a hard time holding itself up for long periods of time. I have to have a back rest. So I go around in a wheelchair a lot, not because I can't walk. I can for about an hour but after that I get extremely fatigued, and I need to lay down for a while. So I go around in a wheelchair that has a high back so I can rest my head and my arms and stuff. I have a hard time holding them out in front of me for long periods of time. They have to be supported, and it's just my forearms and wrists that I usually use because it's not putting any strain on my upper body. So I have a setup here where I sit or lay on the couch. Usually I'm laying down. And I have my wireless keyboard, my wireless mouse. That way I can do my editing and researching or whatever it is I need to do on the computer. And usually stay off my feet a lot. I know in my videos I'm up walking around, but those are the short clips throughout the day that I'm not really doing, or that I am doing something. The rest of the time I'm off my feet a lot of the time, or I'm sitting upright in a chair or something like that, like in a car or things like that. And with this, I have a lot of difficulty sleeping and being comfortable just in an everyday situation. It feels like my muscles are constantly on a burnout at the gym. They're working out, and have you ever done burnouts? Where you're trying to tone the muscle, not bulk up, and so you do a lot of repetitions, a lot of sets, and that's to wear your muscle out quick, to get it the cardio, and to slim it down and tone it up, give the cuts in the muscles. Well, anyways, my muscles feel like that constantly, that they're constantly doing burnout. So even just holding my arms up for a period of time, or holding my arms on a steering wheel, or eating, or holding my phone to my head gets really tiring for me. And so a lot of periods of rest and things like that. But that's kind of the story of me, where I'm at right now. And man, bless my wife and my kids. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they deal with me. I've gone through a lot of depression and a lot of anger and sadness, trying to figure out what to do with myself now. I used to be very active, and there's things that I still wanted to do that are either impossible or very, very difficult for me now. Believe it or not, there was a time I was wanting to be a UFC fighter. I was wanting to go to the gym, or going to the gym and training with a friend of mine, and had those aspirations to eventually get to that point. And even some of the other hobbies, riding motorcycles and shooting, have become very difficult. And I see the toll that it's putting on my kids and on Cherie. This pain has just been on me all the time, so it's hard for me when the kids even act out a little bit not to be upset, or to be as patient with Cherie as I need to be. Just for me, it's out of character for me to act that way. I'm usually happy and fun and energetic and active, and I'm kind of the opposite now. Yeah, I don't know how to get that back, how to get that passion back, but we're working on it, and that's what this is all about, to show what we are grateful for, and that even though when life throws you curveballs and takes away the plans that you wanted for your life, that you can still move forward and find peace and find happiness in what you can do. Stay tuned till next time, and please guys, if you enjoy the videos and would like to see more, subscribe to them. Subscribe at the little button at the bottom, wherever that may be, and like it and share it with your friends, because if for some crazy reason someone can get some hope from these that's in the same situation that we're in, parenting or dealing with disabilities or marriage or even just out of work and trying to find something to do. Maybe someone can get some enjoyment and some direction or something from it. So, and I can't do it on my own. I can only reach people through you.